Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino here, and we have two wonderful guests. We have Maria and Lane. How y'all doing?
Good,
Doing
good.
well. How about yourself?
Not too bad. It's been a good day, and this has been in the works for a while, so it's great to see you.
Yeah.
Yes, we are
Yeah.
super excited to be here and chat with you for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So for those of us who aren't too familiar with you, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. We are Maria and Lane Koch. We are two travel ICU nurses kind of living on the road right now. We actually just arrived back home last night, so we are back in Kansas City. We started traveling last May, started earning a little more money than what we were used to, and decided to get serious about our real estate investing. Both of us kind of accidentally got into real estate about 5 years ago and didn't necessarily take it that seriously and weren't running it like a business. And around last year, we were like, okay, this is something we actually want to do. Like, let's sit down, let's accept this learning curve and, head right into it. So over the past last year, we've been newbie buy and hold investors.
Yeah, that's awesome. And where are you currently living right now, or maybe what kind of markets are you looking at?
We are living in Kansas City right now, mainly investing in the Kansas City market. This is the market that we know and we're familiar with. We have 5 homes here, including our primary, and that's kind of what we're going to focus on for a little while until it either becomes not a good market or we find a better market. Or
yeah, we're really enjoying the Midwest cash flow right now. I know it's not known for appreciation, but that's also happening. So we're just kind of soaking it in while it's a good market.
Okay, fair enough. And if you wouldn't mind explaining, I personally don't know much about Kansas City, but could you kind of explain maybe a bit about the economy or maybe kind of the layout of the city?
So it's very suburbanized. It's like a very large city. Obviously, there's not like a huge skyline like you would see in bigger cities like Dallas or New York or anything like that. So it's like the suburbs just go on for miles and miles. It's very wide across. There are some large employers, mainly like technology and healthcare. Garmin's a big one. I don't know if you've heard of Cerner. I think they have I don't know if they're regionally based employees, but I think they employ like over 25,000 people here.
Mm-hmm.
So basically technology and healthcare, like kind of the two big ones. And we're a little bit bigger on the banking side of things too, financing. We got a big industry there. And it's just kind of spread out.
Yeah, and there's so much growth that's happening. I was born and raised in Kansas City. Lane's from a small town in eastern Kansas. But just even since I've lived here, it just seems like the city continues to grow, even with like professional sports. And so we won the World Series a couple years ago, and then won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. And it just seems like everything's starting to expand in Kansas City. There's buildings popping up everywhere.
Yeah. And we're also big, I guess I forgot, in transportation, just like where we're located geographically. There's a lot of like warehousing and like the trucking industry is pretty big here for transporting goods. You get them here and then you can distribute them north, south, east, west, whichever way they need to go. So,
that definitely makes a lot of sense. And I would imagine that makes for an interesting, mix of people who are going to be in their homes for a long time versus maybe people who are turning over and renting, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely more of a long-term renting environment. There are little hot spots where you could do that, where people do Airbnb and like short-term, but we're finding that there's a lot of long-term renting options around here.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood. And, I'm curious as well, maybe, what kind of got you interested in real estate? Maybe when you were younger, did you always kind of know that you wanted to do this, or, maybe going from kind of your medical background into real estate, what got you interested in it?
Yeah, I think I'll start first.
Yeah.
So I graduated from nursing school in 2015 and accepted a job where I was like, oh my gosh, I need to like put this money somewhere. I was like used to living frugally, kind of in more of a security fashion though. I wasn't investing my money at all. So when I got my new job, have like a financial planner come meet with you. And he was like all about the stock market, like telling me where to put it and what to do. And it just totally went over my head. And the only thing that I could conceptualize was buying a house. I was like, everyone says that this is an investment, like this is something that I can do. What I didn't know at that time was your primary residence isn't an investment, it's a liability. But I kind of accidentally got into house hacking. So I bought a house, and then all of my friends who were also in their young, early 20s, I rented out to them and realized like, oh my gosh, this is kind of paying for my mortgage. Like I'm not even paying to live here really. And that's when like the wheels started turning for me, where it could be more than what I even thought that it could be.
And
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely. No, I find it interesting as well as, it kind of, a lot of the stock stuff you said kind of went over your head, whereas, with real estate, it's a physical asset. You can see it, you can touch it, and it kind of sounds like there's something about that really spoke to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely made more sense to me, as something to do with my money. And I had my friend Lane at work. So I was telling him, I was like, I'm going to buy a house. And he was like, what? Why? He was like, why would you do that?
I was like, I never really had thought about that, but then yeah, it kind of sparked my interest a little bit, and I did basically the same thing. I bought my primary in a good area, where I knew I'd get some appreciation within some of my friends, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not paying my mortgage at all, and I'm actually making a little bit of money, and I'm not like charging them a crazy amount of rent for this area, and so I just kind of realized the power of that. And, you get so far in your W-2 and you're like, gosh, I work every week. I get 2 weeks, 3 weeks off a year maybe. And they give me this retirement. I'm like, I want to create some time and build some wealth and, give that back to the community or my family one day or whatever it may be. So I'd say that's kind of where I landed on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious as well, Lane. Was it Maria was she the one that kind of inspired you to get your own house, or to kind of getting the wheels turning, or?
All right. Yeah, I would say she played a big role in it. Her and my brother, I was living with him at the time, and I saw, he actually, my mom never really explained to me or my dad or anybody like how appreciation works and how, like how to invest or even how to buy a house. And so he kind of helped me a lot with that, but her as well. And then one day I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do this. We can
Yeah.
do this. It's kind of like what
My
sparked
energy
it.
kind of was done at my primary residence. I was like, oh, I'm doing something great and I'm making money. Like I thought that like that was it, and I was just gonna work and do that. And then he read Rich Dad Poor Dad and had his like aha moment, but without me yet. And so he actually was very patient, because I was in grad school at the time, and he's like, can you please read this book? And I was like, I don't have time to read for fun. Like I have all this studying to do. And persistently asked me, I think it was over a course of like 3 or 4
I was
months.
like Googling on like how to like bring this kind of conversation up to your, like, we were engaged at that time. And I was just like trying to figure out, like, obviously you can't force ideas on people, it has to be something that like grows organically, but it
I
did.
think you knew me well enough to know if I just read the book, it would resonate though.
You could, and then we read other books obviously, and I was already reading other books and on every podcast imaginable, listening and educating myself, so that when we did decide to start investing, that we could be ready to be educated. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious as well, Lane, when you were, trying to pitch the book to Maria and say, hey, you should check out this book, for you, what was it about the book that really spoke to you?
basically the the mindset, the security mindset, like, and how people are like driven by more of like fear, like I have to have this 401k, which is not, I don't, can be as a questionable investment for your money. And then like, they also kind of lock you in with health insurance, and I just felt like kind of trapped. The book made me feel like there was another way out, and a way to generate wealth and just have like a little different lifestyle. Like I didn't really want to, I was working a lot of overtime. Like I was like using my time to make money, and I was like, oh man, this is stressful. And so I was just trying to, like, I guess, use my intellect to think a way out of that. And so it kind of sparked that. It's like, you can do this,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting as well, because it seems like you're also undergoing kind of in a way, a mindset shift. You're transitioning from maybe, working nights, you're working 12 hours in the hospital. It's long, it's hard, it's strenuous. And then transitioning to, hey, how can I free up my time?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly what my whole thought process was. And I wanted her to, obviously they say it's a lot, it's we were engaged at the time, so she's going to be the biggest portion of my life, and it would be hard to do it without her. Like, even from understanding, like, when you're going through a deal and the stress of that and all that, or just being like a team player and being able to, like, okay, you pay the bills and I'll negotiate all the insurance rates, or, kind of split up some of the work. And so I just knew that if I could get her on board, that it would, like, really take off. So that was very crucial to me. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's awesome to have someone in your corner that, that understands. And I mean, you're on the same page, right?
Yeah. Pretty much now all we talk is, not all we talk, but a lot of our talk is, and we enjoy it. It's investment and real estate, and it's fun. It's exciting. The future is just fun.
Okay.
Now, like, designate, all right, let's try not to talk about it for this meal. And then it's like, it spirals and it'll go there, just because we're still so excited about everything and, like, all the opportunities that are out there that we now know about.
Yeah.
Who brings it up first? You or Lane when you're talking at dinner?
It depends on who saw the last deal.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. No, and Maria, one question for you is, I know you mentioned how you were into house hacking. Maybe for those of us who don't know, would you explain, what house hacking is and what you like about it?
Absolutely. So house hacking is a term used when you buy a primary residence. And it can be a single family home or a duplex, or it can be a fourplex. And then you rent out the other areas of it. So then you are essentially not having to pay a mortgage. So if your mortgage was $1,000 and you were able to rent out, 2 rooms for $500 and you live in the 3rd bedroom, then your renters would be paying your mortgage, and you would be getting that appreciation and the rent every month and be able to live for free.
It's a great way for people to get started. Like, if you either like low income, then you can cut your bottom end and then have cash to reinvest in another place or whatever, wherever you want to put it. But that's what we see most people do is when they're starting out.
And buying it as a primary residence, you still have access to, like, the FHA loans, the VA loans. So you're putting down anywhere from 3 to 5%, as compared if you're only going to buy something as an investment property, you're looking more around like 15 to 25%, depending on what lenders you're going with. So it's a lot less money up front to get that investment property.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I would imagine that's probably a pretty solid way to build a portfolio too.
Yeah, I mean, we have 5 homes right now, and we're still planning on house hacking. We're in a primary residence right now where we do rent out 1 room, and then to finish out our conventional financing, we are hoping to get a duplex or fourplex later this summer. And we would still house hack.
Okay, understood. Is that kind of are you looking to build a larger portfolio of single family homes, or it kind of sounds like you're kind of transitioning into the multifamily space?
I think we would like smaller multifamily. I don't know if we'll ever be like the 20 to 50 unit, or at least we will not be managing them if we start doing that. But we're still self-managing all of our units right now. And we love learning that process. We know we won't be doing that forever, but being our own property managers and landlords, we're still enjoying right now. So we're just looking to add on another small multifamily and probably get into that world.
Kind of the reason that we're aiming for multifamilies, we're of the age that we're not going to, like, rent a room to somebody, right? And so this is like the feasible house hack, which would be like a duplex and have somebody move into the other side, and we'd have our own space. And hopefully we're counting on getting something nice that we can live in for like 4 to 5 years. Well, just to really cut costs down for a little while and continue to invest and do all that. So.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I'm curious about as well is, we know that you're in the medical field. Maybe you had a bit of money that you had in your hand that you wanted to do something with it. Maybe for someone who's looking to transition from W-2 into investing, is there a certain percentage that you set aside strictly for investing, or how do you kind of allocate your money towards investing?
That's kind of hard to answer for a few reasons. We're a little variable income. So, I mean, we could do a percentage, but we kind of focus more on like our personal budget, and then everything else goes towards either reserve funds or investing.
Yeah.
If that kind of answers that question.
It ends up being around 70% of what we make goes towards investing, which I know is a large number to hear for, anyone who's like looking to jump into it. But what we did is cut our bottom line as much as we can, which means like our monthly bills and what we have to pay for, we try to make that number as small as we can so we can live pretty frugally. I know we talked about we live in the RV and we try not to eat out a lot. Tried to cut down on some car payments, things like that, so we can invest most of our money.
And then with travel nursing, especially over the last year, which it's going to change, the landscape's kind of changing as far as packages and stuff like that. We were like 3.5 to 4x our old income, like actual take home net income was like about 3.5 times.
Yeah.
So we were able to like not have that like lifestyle creep is what they call it.
Yeah.
But, and
it was
really
May.
Put away some cash.
It was May of last year we decided to start travel nursing, and 3 to 4 times our income, and we were both like, we know exactly what we want to do with this money.
Like, we've been waiting.
We're like, we're not buying new cars, we're not buying a new house. Like, we know exactly what we want to do.
And so it just flew right out of our bank account into investments, and we took a few like smaller trips and stuff, but we from what we increased our income, we definitely didn't inflate our lifestyle to compensate for that.
We immediately looked into buying the RV so we wouldn't have to live in Airbnbs on our contracts, because those are quite a bit more expensive, especially we're getting ready to go to California. And so we're going to save a ton of money just being able to live in the RV. And then we ended up buying 3 properties within the last year.
Wow, how about that? No, I know it's I guess for anybody that has money in their pocket, they want to do something with it. It always seems like, hey, what do I do? But that's a real neat plan. So I like that. Yeah, and I'm curious as well. You kind of mentioned you also mentioned travel nursing, which I guess is pretty self-explanatory. But you also talked about an RV. Could you kind of talk about maybe what you like about RVs and why travel in an RV?
Oh yeah, so it started as kind of a money saver. That's how Lane got the idea to me. But now I don't know if I'll ever be able to move him out of the RV because he enjoys it so much.
It's kind of nice. So there was a few things about it that I really like. A, I think RVing is fun. And then B, when we show up to a contract, we don't have to come up with a new routine. So it makes travel nursing more tolerable. Your toothbrush is always in the same drawer, like you don't have to like worry about, we showed up to our first Airbnb and the pan was this big and we're going to be there for like well over a month. And it's like, what are we going to cook there? And so we were eating out a lot, and you know what I mean? We just didn't have that kind of, as humans, I think we do desire a little bit of a routine to keep parts of our lives normal. And then it was just nice to just pull up, you put the slides out and jacks down, and you can go to work the next day, and nothing's changed. So and then like I said, we use it while we're out.
We still travel a lot.
And
we just we're staying in Albuquerque, and so our job was in Albuquerque, and when we would have 7 days off, we would drive to Sedona. We went to Flagstaff. We took different ski and snowboard vacations. It just makes it to where we can still do all that stuff and not be off of our budget for investing, because we're really not spending that much money. We're just taking our home with us everywhere we go.
Yeah, no, I think RVing is so neat for many reasons, but it's interesting how you kind of have this dichotomy between kind of that flexibility and freedom versus also having that stability, where if you leave your toothbrush there, it's going to be there when you get back, right?
Yeah, it's nice. And then you don't really like, I don't know, if you get into a bad park or something you don't like, you just, you stay for a night and you say, I want out of here. I don't want to be here. And you leave, versus like signing, a month lease or whatever. There's a few websites like Furnish Finders that's kind of like a intermediate amount of time. Like usually people sign them for like a month or 2 months, versus like an Airbnb where just you can do a day or a month or 6 months. So
and
it's
honestly,
nice to not be stuck.
Yeah, if we weren't investing so much of our money, those places can be nicer, the Furnish Finders and the Airbnbs, but with the mindset shift that we had, we just feel like we were wasting money. We were like, we're just throwing money at this temporary living situation when it could be put towards another investment property. So that, just knowing that makes it all worth it to us.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes a lot of sense, especially, you're kind of checking out maybe different properties, you're kind of getting a feel on the market and you're mobile.
Mhm.
And it's interesting how I mean, it's obviously different from a hotel as well. You're flying halfway across the country, you're already caught up in your head. I need to do X, Y, and Z today. You forget something, it's easy to get kind of caught off guard. Whereas in a sense, the RV gives you that, in a sense, more stability in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely does.
That's awesome. So, we've talked a bit, about what you're doing right now. What's the future look like? What sort of maybe projects are you wanting to do? Any particular markets? Are you sticking to Kansas City, or what's next?
Well, as we talked about a little bit ago, we're going to try and do the house hack. I think then maybe we'll be out of conventional financing due to like debt to income and stuff like that. And then we're going to, I think, try our hand at flipping, honestly. It won't be until probably we could rush it and do it sooner, but I'm kind of trying to be realistic with us and where we're at as far as like cash goes, because it's nice to like not have to do hard money and stuff. And it'd make us feel more secure while we're starting out. It makes the deals a little less risky if we do, miss a certain number or calculation or whatever it is, or repair, on an inspection. A lot of things can make those things cash negative or positive, just little things that can get missed. So I think that maybe after the first of the year, we'll start, we'll do a flip here and there and see how that goes.
Yeah, we have been brainstorming just different avenues to become full-time real estate investors. I know there's a bunch of different ways that you can go, but kind of what makes the most sense to us and what resonates with us. And Lane is very handy at about everything when it comes to the houses. So it just seems like the most easy path for us to go down is to start flipping these houses. And we even talked about, we still want to buy and hold. We still want to have like the generating wealth aspect of real estate investing. But if we can also make our income happen through real estate investing, we wouldn't have to work these long shifts. We wouldn't have to be on the road as much. It could just be all that we do. So yeah, hopefully we'll get there.
And kind of the more we get into like educating ourselves on investing, it just seems like the business, just like they just run parallel to each other, they're synergistic for one. So we're trying to think of something that could synergize our investment careers in house flipping. We discussed a few other companies. Like my background is in like small remodels, mainly like hard surfaces, tile, flooring, hardwood, stuff like that. So we've kind of tossed around doing some of that for like other people as well to add to that business, if things are slow in the flip or whatever. But we're kind of coming at it from a mindset that we want to start a business, not we want to run a business. Through some of like the recent education I've been doing, it's just been like, we can do this. We're smart enough. Like we're ICU nurses, let's just start a business. Let's get something going. And I don't know, it just seems like what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
To me.
We do have the security of being ICU nurses where it's like, okay, if we have a couple bad flips and we're terrible at it, like let's take a couple more travel contracts, we'll build our cash flow back up and we'll try again. It's not like, I feel like most people have to take the big leap of quitting their corporate job and not having a way back into it. And that's just not the world that we're in, which definitely gives us more confidence.
Yeah, we gotta like dip our toes, and then we can pull back out and do whatever else we want to do. If we lose a little bit of money, we'll take another contract and try it again, and just keep until we find our kind of what works for us.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And what's neat about nursing is that although, it looks vastly different, the nursing industry, compared to maybe real estate, there are some parallels between the two. Could you maybe kind of explain maybe how some of your skills in nursing could translate into real estate?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's parallels. So we both work in a medical ICU as our background. And as an ICU nurse, there's a lot of collaboration. You are like the forefront for your patient. You're like your patient's
You're the
advocate.
General contractor for your patient.
For your patient. Yeah. And you collaborate with like the physicians and the physical therapists and nutrition. And there's obviously, you've heard of the game of telephone, like things get missed and you're the person who has to catch it. And You know, you assess your patient, make sure everything's still on par, or if you needed to go back and report something to the team. And I think that as we started investing in real estate, first of all, we understand that no one's life is on the line. So that brings our stress level down, because we are used to honestly having that. And that is a totally different environment. So now everything that we're doing seems less stressful. And then the communication skills that we've built just collaborating with a bunch of different teams, I think both of us are very comfortable doing that.
Absolutely. Coordinating things, scheduling, whatever it is, like we do it at work all the time. And like she said, usually it's like either somebody's health or potentially their life on the line. And now it's just like money, you know, it's just, we're just out to make a little bit of money. And if we might lose a little bit, so what, you know?
Yeah, there's risk, but it's a different type of risk, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, is there anything that you guys haven't said thus far that you really just like to hit home?
Ooh, open-ended there, huh?
I don't think so. I think we are most excited just to be home to go see our rentals. We do have some showings this weekend that we're excited about. We listed a property. Guys, I mentioned that we self-manage. So we listed a property last week, and I had about 120 people inquire about it. And after that, we had like 12 good tenants. And it made me realize that prospective tenants. And it made me realize that how important the pre-screening process is, and how a lot of new investors don't necessarily know that process. So I have spent a lot of time like on our Instagram, coming up with some content to help new investors when they go through that pre-screening process, if they plan on self-managing.
And another thing that we found is it's property dependent, depending on, like, obviously every property has its own like clientele, right? There's certain people that aren't going to rent in certain areas, and there's certain people that can't rent in other areas. And so, like, with that being said, we found that you can scare people off with your screening questions if you don't have it dialed into your market, like your specific like category of tenants. So that's kind of one of the learning processes we are going through right now currently with self-managing, you know.
And we came to the realization that sometimes we do want to scare some people off. Depending on where the house is, we do want our pre-screen questions to be that strict. So
yeah, totally understood. And you know, maybe someone's in the Kansas City market, they have a few questions about Kansas City, or maybe they're interested in RVs, or maybe your experience from transitioning from nursing into real estate. You know, where can we find you?
Oh, absolutely. We are documenting everything that we're doing. Our journey with real estate, our journey with living in the RV, and even travel nursing on Instagram is our biggest platform right now. We are at Koch Spaces, which is just our last name, KOCH, and then the word spaces.
Yeah, and it's not monetized or anything. We're just looking to connect with people that are like us, that we can learn stuff from.
We share the tips that we, you know, wish that we had, or just different things that we learn. Like I talked about the pre-screening thing. I talked about why we're staying at our W-2, just a bunch of different things that I feel like new investors could benefit from. Because sometimes there is a lot of information out there, and it can be information overload. And if you're only getting tips from people who own 150 plus properties, probably not all applicable to you. So we kind of started this page to document our journey, and then to help some others who want to jump into investing.
I think that's wonderful. That's so neat that you're able to kind of, you know, provide that good content, and you know, kind of build an audience, right?
Yeah, we're hoping so.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, Maria and Lane, it's been a pleasure having both of y'all on the show. I've learned a lot, you know, a bit about your background, a bit about, you know, being an ICU nurse, transitioning to real estate. So it's been a real pleasure, and thank you so much.
Yeah, it was so great talking with you, Aaron.
Talk later.
Thank you.
Bye.